Call this meeting to order. Want to take a roll call?
Appleby.
Here.
Nadowski.
Here.
Gunderson.
Here.
Gage.
Here.
And Limke.
Here.
Okay, we'll start right off with letting Mr. Attorney talk.
A couple of years ago, seems just a few years ago we did this. But yeah. The aldermanic selection procedure, I want to go through that a little bit and talk particularly to the newer members about some of the things we got to avoid when we're asking questions to make sure that we're doing it in a way that complies with the statutes and the Constitution. So the first thing I want to talk about very briefly is 1723, and that just says when there's a vacancy in the office of an alderperson, a person is going to be appointed by the common council. So it's actually the council as a body that makes the appointment. Mayor is a member of the council who votes in ties. There's a special provision for that. So, and then the person so appointed will hold office until a successor is elected and qualified. So you're doing the remainder of the term. This appointment, in this case, would last until April 11th.
That's correct.
You could otherwise order that if it was a longer period, but in this case, it doesn't make too much sense to do that. Important points out of the statute, it has to be a council appointment, but the other thing that's interesting, there's nothing in the statute that says how you got to do it. You could have had a series of meetings over a long period of time if you wanted to, and bring people in. The thing is, those meetings would have to be public meetings. I mean, this is a matter of some import. People are going to be interested in who you select and why. So the other thing that's important is you want to have this process completed by December 1, normally, because you want to give the person a little time, particularly if they're interested in running. Next year, they're going to have to be getting papers and so forth. So the statute kind of anticipates that. This appointment's only till April. So again, if the appointee wishes to run, they're going to have to fill out papers and go through all that, run for office and win the election. The procedures that was determined by the Common Council in the past, and I have no reason to believe you wouldn't do that again, it looks like you have, is you've invited people to come forward if they're interested. Then you're going to give them an opportunity to speak, and then you certainly can ask questions. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I'll explain in a little bit, the fact that the people have come forward kind of alters a little bit some of the protections they normally have under the law, because now they're in the public eye, and people in the public eye open themselves up from a defamation standpoint to a little different standard. Once you're in the public eye, in order to be damaged from a defamation standpoint, it has to be things that are maliciously brought. If in good faith you have some questions, you can ask them. As to what is good faith, we'll talk about that in a second too. Things you cannot consider, things you cannot look at, and you should not ask questions about or that reflect on age, race, creed, color, disability, marital status, if you have a spouse, not who is your spouse. Sex, national origin, ancestry. National origin is where you are from. Ancestry is where your people were from. Conviction record, military service. The one that I've always found very entertaining, and it's only in Wisconsin statutes that I know of, use or non-use of lawful products off the employer's premises during non-working hours. I'm not really sure what that is, but maybe you shouldn't ask them if they smoke, just to be safe. I'm not exactly sure what that means. In the employment context, it sometimes comes up. Declining to attend a meeting or to participate in communication about a religious or political matter. And then pregnancy is something you should not ask about. There is also a bit of a concern about things like reputational interests. If you have some, for example, if you had some very vague notion that there's a problem with a particular candidate and you wanted to ask that candidate about it and you don't have a very firm basis for asking, you might be able to go into closed session to ask those questions. I'm going to recommend generally against that. I don't think that's a good idea for this type of process. As much as possible, you should ask the questions in open, only in really odd circumstances would you go into closed. Another time, though, that you might be able to go into closed is if you had a whole set of questions and you wanted to ask the people these questions and you didn't want to give the first person who answered, put them at a disadvantage because, they'd be answering first the other person. That is a reason to go into to closed session. Again, if you can figure a way around it, it's probably better because this should be as transparent as possible. The public's going to want to know what happened. So, for example, if you have a set of questions, rotate them. That's one way you could do it. You could ask one candidate that question, the first question, and then the other two candidates. Then the next question you would ask another person first, and that kind of evens it out at least. So there's ways to avoid it. You're not allowed to deliberate on this in closed session, unlike quasi-judicial hearings where you're allowed to. In this case, you can. So, a few comments. I think we've made it clear to the candidates that are out there that if you want to continue, you'll have to run in April. This will only be through April, assuming you got the appointment. As far as how we respond, let's let the people give their side of the case, give their side why they want to do this. Then go ahead and ask them questions. But remember, stay away from all of those possible areas of discrimination. If anybody wants me to go through them again, I will. The list gets pretty long, I know. But most of us have a pretty good sense about what they are. If you don't want to make the decision tonight, you really don't have to. But again, we want to make sure we make it before December 1st. So that's pretty much my comments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Anybody has any?
I just have a quick comment. So, Attorney Kelly did mention his thoughts on closed session and what might be appropriate. Having said that, we did notice a closed session on the agenda, so if you get to a situation where it seems like you want to ask questions or have what might be an appropriate discussion, then I would defer to Attorney Kelly that we do have a notice on the agenda. That's one thing. And then maybe a question for the group that I have is, I've been made aware that a couple of people are planning on asking questions. I don't know what the questions are. But it is clear from my understanding that we don't have like a list. It's not really an interview that you ask 10 questions to everybody. So I guess the question I would put out before we get going is, if anybody has questions, do you plan on asking everybody? And if so, would you want them to give their 5-minute comments first and then ask questions as a group? Or would you want to do the 5 minutes and then ask questions of each candidate? The next thing I would ask then is if you have an order in mind. I think when we had done this the last time, we just went alphabetical by last name. So there is no pre-arranged schedule of how we're going to do this, or questions either. So it's up to you guys how you want to do that.
If it's up to you, I would prefer to have each one introduce themselves and explain why they're here. And then afterwards, we can go back and ask questions.
Does anybody feel like if they ask whatever question they have, it's unfair if one person hears it first over another? Or is it basically subjective questions? I don't have one, I'm just asking. Because that would be the major consideration that we'd want to know now.
Anybody got anything?
Okay.
Well, no, I'm okay with what Jack said.
Okay. I'm good with that.
They may answer all your questions you have before you even ask them.
True
Let them clear away.
True statement.
I don't know, it's a start. I don't know how to do
Do
this.
it alphabetical again?
That sounded fair.
I believe you did it alphabetical by last name.
That works good, then I don't want to pick somebody.
Mr. Finley, Miss Edwards, and then Miss Martin.
Okay.
That's fine.
Alphabetical?
Yep.
Okay. Feel free to pop up. We have more coming to the chair. I'll just make sure that the microphone is on. You don't have to be real close to this though.
More comfortable chairs, just by itself, the microphone in front of it,
Yeah,
if it's
It
comfortable.
balances out.
very comfortable.
Hi, I'm Rick Finley. I've lived in Weyauwega in the Weyauwega area for about 30 years, and I've been employed with the Weyauwega Foundry for 30 years also. I've been kind of getting a little more involved with things as far as what the city's been in the last couple of years, and thought I would like to give a try at being part of the council. Guess that's pretty much it.
Okay, thanks, Rick, and we'll go through everybody and then ask questions.
It's all official.
Yeah.
Know about Congress.
Getting there.
Joanna Edwards, I know like half of you, I think. So I was on council once before, my term ended, it'll be 2 years in April. I volunteered to serve because I could very easily step into this role, having served 2 years already previously on the council. I definitely feel the importance of progressing our city. I think we've made huge strides in the last, well, the 2 years that I was on, and I know even building up to that and bringing onboarding Patrick has been huge for our community. So, lived in the area all my life. I've owned my own home in Weyauwega for 10 years, and I'd be happy to dedicate my time in service again. So.
Thank you. Holly?
Oh, mine is also quick.
Yeah.
You said Holly.
What? Oh,
Holly.
It's me.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure Jackson.
It's me, okay. I'm Holly Martin. I'm not from Weyauwega. I came to Wisconsin via Scandinavia, where I lived for over 35 years, and then moved to New London, and then to the adorable little community of Weyauwega that I immediately fell in love with. Right after I moved, actually, Cheryl, who was the previous administrator, said, hey, come over, let's write for and get into an appropriation bill, because I was working with the Lake Group at the time. And so we did that, and it was fairly successful. Too bad it was 2008, so it didn't get voted on. That kind of ended it. But I've also served in Weyauwega as the board secretary for the Chamber of Commerce. I'm the board secretary for the Lakes Group, and I also serve on the board for Weyauwega Arts. 3 areas that I feel are very important to the growth and success of Weyauwega. So I have a long interest in this community being successful. That's it. So I thought I'd serve.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody got questions?
I just have one question, and it's for all three of you, and you can go in the order that you answered before. Do you plan on running in the spring election, or are you just doing this for the 5 months that is until the next term is up?
I was going to say, I'll put it this way, I was going to try it and see what it was going to amount to, and then kind of make my decision then, if it was going to run or not. It's, just kind of a feeling.
Thank you.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm not 100% certain that I am yet, though. So I just gave you a politician answer.
I like the politician answer. That's very nice. I think continuity is important for anything, so you need to have some people with staying power, and I would be willing to run this.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, where do we want to go from here? I guess when you're going to make a decision, what I'm looking for, I want somebody that wants to be involved. I want somebody that's going to be at the meetings. I want somebody that's going to speak up at meetings. not just be a yes person, so to speak. If there's issues, I'd like to have somebody that's gonna get involved in the issues and help resolve them. And obviously, somebody that's gonna be at every meeting, and I guess that's pretty much all. Anybody else wanna add something? Go ahead, but. So somebody,
If I had a great question, but I just can't think of anything good.
I know, I spent the weekend drinking night going thinking about that.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun dreams, but nothing.
You know, I guess one question could be just, so you've been on before, the other two have not. Is there any reason why you guys haven't been involved over the last 2 years with this, or actively trying to get a council position?
What, with the council?
Yeah.
I thought about it and things kind of I got busy with where I worked at that time of getting the things put together this last run. So I didn't. And I've been on a couple different committees with the city right now.
Okay.
I did, and he beat me.
Oh, okay.
What if you guys don't get this position? Would you run again in the spring? If you're not appointed to it? And then would you run?
I wouldn't, no.
You wouldn't run? If you don't get this now, you won't run this spring?
Well, I have to consider other things. No, I wouldn't, because it's a commitment. And right now, this is what you need. If that's what you need, I will commit. But I commit to things. That's the other thing. I make all the board meetings. I make all the meetings because that's the job. So it's a commitment for me. And then in the spring, I have to see. You know, right now I can pitch it that way, but otherwise, I don't know where the other places that I serve are going to be. Because to join this chamber means I will not be doing that anymore. So I don't know where they are, where they will be. As of this point, I can gracefully leave the other 3 boards I sit on, which I can't sit on and also serve on the council. But come the spring, I don't know where I'm going to be on those boards, so I can't make any decision there.
Tell us, spring.
In the spring, I don't know where those other,
Right.
yeah,
It's understandable.
it's just fair.
Okay, my next question is, does somebody want to go to closed session and discuss this?
Can't
No,
do it that
I
way.
wouldn't recommend doing that.
All right,
It's gotta be
That's good.
done in open, so, basically the next step is if somebody wants to make a motion.
and somebody,
Or if wants to ask another question.
Right.
anybody got any more
Those are
questions?
the options.
Does somebody want
It's
to make a
always such an
motion?
awkward time.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it is.
You know,
You know,
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
You sit there, you got three people you know out there, and it's like,
Just go with your time. It's okay.
yeah.
all right.
I don't think any of us are going to take it
I,
personally.
I know,
no,
that's gonna be there.
I am gonna go with my gut, and because I've sat with Rick and planning commission meetings, and I know the way he thinks, and we've discussed things, I'll make a motion for Rick Bentley to fill the vacancy.
well, I'm kind of a different way here. Like Joanna, she's served it, she knows what's going on here. I know Rick well, I know Holly, you know, but they don't know anything about the council, what's going on, and Joanna does. That's, well, I'm looking at that way. You know, that's why I asked if you would be willing to run this spring again when it comes up. Because it's a people's choice, that's what it's supposed to be.
Right.
The people's choice, they're the ones who's supposed to vote again, not us. You know, so if someone could jump in and pick up right now where Mike left off, which you got to experience at it, and then this spring, the people's make their choice.
Okay, for,
And
then is a lack of a motion, a second,
You know, they have a second.
can it fails? Can we
well,
have
the
another,
motion still
another
sits out there,
motion?
but the motion still sits out there, but if somebody wants to make another motion, they can.
We have so you have a motion to nominate, that was from Nick,
Mhm.
and you do need a second or it fails?
Right, you need a second or it
And then if you
fails.
wanna make an
Then
additional
you can make
motion,
your-
so if you make one nomination, you can make another nomination too, but they both need a second.
Right.
Yeah.
Or any successful nomination will need a second.
Okay, so that could have been my nomination then too. So we got two out there?
I would say,
So quick, somebody say
The
Holly,
first-
we'll just have all three of them out there.
The first person to say second one of them wins.
Well, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna make, a second on Rick. I don't know Holly a whole lot, I've known her work that she's done around, I've worked with Johanna on, council. I haven't had a chance to work with Rick, but I know just from talking on the different committees that you've been on, that you've been an asset to it. And I think you would probably make a good choice for us to be on council and to move through into our next journey, and hopefully getting your feet wet will make you want to run in the spring election.
we
So
have a
you got a
motion
motion and
and
a
a
second.
second on the first. So that's out there. Now, on nominations though, I mean, nominations are still open. You don't automatically vote on
Yeah.
it right away.
I'll make a second on this.
So Bruce,
You made,
I made a motion for Joanna.
I'll second.
Interesting.
motion and a second to nominate Mr. Lidkey, or, I'm sorry, Mr. Lidkey. I'm sorry. And then motion and second to nominate Ms. Edwards too.
So we got two on the floor. You know, how do we go about voting on them, or,
I would check and see if you have any other nominations out there, right?
yeah, is there any other nominations? Supposed to ask 3 times, I think. Is there any other nominations?
Oh,
It's going twice.
everybody always does that. I'm not sure why we're here, but everybody does it.
It's the whole sold idea. Before the gavel drops.
All right, make motion nomination be closed.
Is there a motion that the nomination be closed?
I'll make a
Yes.
motion that the nomination be closed.
Okay, I'll second it.
What?
There we go.
All in favor, say aye.
And,
Aye.
Opposed?
Who was the second on that? I'm sorry. Okay.
Nick.
Dick. Now we vote on the nominations.
Right. And unfortunately, guys, the laws of this state, there's only one election that you can do with a closed ballot. And this is it.
All right, we'll call the first one. All in favor of nomination to nominate Rich, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So that's non-pass.
What I'm getting is there are 2 people that are voting in favor of Rich. And now the question is how many people are in favor?
Yes, that's Joanna. All right. The motion to appoint Joanna is on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We got 3.
Aye. I'll carry it, that's fine.
It's fine? All right,
So by
motion carried.
majority.
We'll appoint Joanna to replace Mike on the council. Congratulations. That's all we need?
Well, now we gotta go into the rest of the stuff.
The other stuff.
Yeah.
And you have a swearing right away too, don't you?
Well, thank all 3 of you for coming.
Just remember this spring, you guys, fill out papers and people do.
December, isn't
Yeah, December is when you get the papers.
Well, December, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Papers in December.
Thanks for coming, Ollie. Appreciate it. We gotta, what do you say, we gotta swear her in immediately, or?
We have, yeah, I mean, if you
Yeah.
wanna see her, we do have it in the agenda oath of office for third ward.
Okay. You took the agenda away from me, so
Well, we're a little bit further down, so. We've had the outline, we've had the interviews, we had the selection of the appointment. We did not need the closed session, and we're down to number 6 then.
oath of office.
Okay?
Yep.
Do that, do a copy.
Rich, I hope you're okay with this.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
All right, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, no
That's a
offense,
tough
I
thing
just-
to do, like you said.
I'm not complaining. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'm sure I'll be seeing you.
Yeah, me too.
We still got committees we could put you on.
Yeah,
Nice, though.
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah,
So,
you got a raise too.
you raise your right hand, and then you
Well,
can start right at the beginning.
I, Johanna Edwards, who has been appointed to the office of District 3 Alderperson in and for the city of Weyauwega in Weyauwega County, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Very good. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So I'll have you sign them too. Do you have a black pen?
Probably.
I think I've got 2 red ones, so it doesn't work very well. Otherwise, we've got one here too.
Thank you.
Yep.
You can have that chair, and we hope that you stay awake better than what Mike did. And even try and vote sometimes.
Wow. You have to speak to vote.
Yeah, you have to speak
I was
to
gonna
vote.
insert a probably very inappropriate.
Yeah.
Cut that part out, right?
I mean, maybe. It's almost campaign time, so.
Yeah.
Learn anything, just with whatever.
They're always unpredictable.
All right.
Okay, so we
This
have
might
completed
be-
the oath of office.
So now we have, items, what, 7 and 8?
So the next 2 items, I can tell you, we'll put it on the record. Being that we were short, one individual for the public property committee, we're down to 2 people. Talked about the reason for the closed session on number 7, to discuss possible land purchase on Old Mill Street. There's a discussion in closed session would be probably a primer going into next week's full council meeting, but maybe more importantly, because we only had 2 people. 3, now that we're back to full property committee would be a good thing, but I did want to give the full council an update on that property, because there were some direction that was given in closed session on negotiating. Give an update on that. And then number 8, then 2, we have Attorney Kelly here, talked about some forms for the department head reviews. And so now that Johanna's coming on, it will be brand new to her. The good news is she's been here for a term before, so she's familiar with that process at the end of the year. But with Attorney Kelly here, have maybe a little bit of a rundown, just a refresher from you guys after you guys have gotten that form. And those 7 and 8, we would probably anticipate we'll have it to full council next week too, since we had everybody here before we have that. Okay?
All right, so with that then, I'll make a motion to go to closed session pursuant with 19.851E Wisconsin statutes and 19.851C of Wisconsin statutes for deliberation and also for the consideration of employment, promotion, and compensation.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to go to closed session. Roll call.
Appleby,
Aye.
Nadowski,
Aye.
Gunderson,
Aye.
Gage,
Aye.
Litkey,
Aye.
Edwards.
Aye.
There you go.
And it is